Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my tower fantasy videos where today I'm going to be doing a lane guide. This is going to be telling you everything that you need to know about lane so you can be playing her and ready for her when she comes out on global. And I'm going to also be talking about the different types of team comps and synergy that you can get with this character. So the first thing you need to know about this character is she aligns with the flame element. So she's going to be with all those good old guys such as Ruby, Annabelle, and Cobalt B, Zero, Huma, King. I almost forgot about him. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. If I did, I'm so sorry. But yeah, she's going to be with all those guys. And the next thing you need to know about is she's going to be the second flame tank in the entire game, which is pretty cool. I've been waiting for one. And we got one. And on top of that, she was an umbrella. I've been waiting for a character inside of MMO RPG games to basically have an umbrella and fight with it, which they did a pretty awesome job in my opinion. Right? So she goes with tank, defense, or fortitude, whatever you guys want to call it. That doesn't really matter to me. But the next thing I want to talk about is her trait. Her trait is a little bit weird, but basically what it says is whenever you're using the tank resonance, that's how I'm gonna say it, it's going to reduce flame and frost damage by 24%, and not only that, it's going to increase the final damage for you and your following teammate inside the boundary by 8%. Now I don't like her trait too much, but you can use it if you want. I guess that's like consistent damage. But yeah, I don't plan on running tank with her anyways. If you do want to, I guess a quick one is Lane, Huma, and then you can put down like Lin, or you can put down Zero, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just for the extra healing because you know you're gonna be tanking or whatever. But yeah, you have that as an option if you want to. So you also have the highest shatter value in the game, even over Saki. Now the highest shatter value is 15.80, which is pretty darn high. She shatters the living crap out of enemy shield, which is pretty cool to me. Now the next thing I want to talk about after that is her flame resonance. So, you know, if you pair her with another flame weapon, and CN is 20%, right? And 40% reduction of damage, you know, for flame resistance, right? So, that's that. The next thing is talking about her autos, which is called Soaring Feathers. Now, she has 5 consecutive autos, and if you do all these autos, of course, it's going to go up with damage over time. Now, in these calculations, I didn't include no attack speed. So if one attack is probably faster and does calculate or ramps up damage faster, I didn't test that out. I just did raw numbers. So for that, the reason why I did raw numbers is because she has a Phoenix charge auto, which, you know, suspend enemies in the air. It does 125% of her attack, which is not a lot. So it does more damage than her first and second auto, which you're able to actually use this after her second auto and after her fifth auto if you wish. She can also do, you know, air attacks with these or whatnot, but they don't do like no damage, so don't even bother with it. It's just better to do it on the ground. But yeah, I did some calculation. I have 3 different things that I did. I put down Phoenix for every second attack that you decide to do. Not only that, I put down Phoenix for every, you know, after 5th attack you decide to do, and then I have a rotation with no Phoenix. And based off of what I did, the first one was 609.2%. This is with Phoenix after every second hit. Then I did another one. This is Phoenix after every 5th hit, which is 1,116.3%. And then I did no Phoenix at all, which came out to 1,086.1%, which is a 30.2% loss at the beginning. But if you continue doing the rotation, it starts to gain 4.8%. 96.3%, and it just goes up. And over that first loss, if you was to continue doing this rotation for, I don't know, whatever reason, this is for these math nerds or whatever, but for whatever reason, if you continue to, you know, do it, then the last rotation would be the best rotation, not including attack speed, because that's a whole different thing. The third rotation would probably be superior regardless, because with the Phoenix, it sends you into the air, which takes off some of your attack speed. So yeah, but basically what you're supposed to be getting this from is, with your Phoenix, you want to use that basically after every 5th attack or not at all. So Phoenix is probably works in arena PvP, but for just fighting things, no, don't do it. Now the next thing I want to talk about is one of the most confusing things in her entire kit. So she has Plume, which with this Plume, it connects to her, it connects to like bright flames, bursting flames, eruption weave, erosion, flame vortex, and all this other nonsense. So I'm going to try and break this down as easy as possible. Her plumes are her umbrellas that she summons on the ground. With these plumes, she gets 3 at maximum. Even with advancements, from what I saw, I might be wrong, but this is a advancement 0 guide for the most part in 1. But she's able to summon 3 plumes at max. Now, when these plumes get bright flames, these plumes will apply a burn that does 195% of her attack, which is going to do a ton of extra damage for no reason, basically. And then she has a flame vortex. This flame vortex will consume 1 plume count every I think that's a second. Let's hope to God it does. And it's going to deal 91% of attack. So when a plume disappears, right, it's going to do 91% of attack, and of course it's going to be replaced by a new plume. These new plumes are going to be triggered every time you decide to attack or dodge, and it's going to generate 1 plume. These plumes last for 20 seconds, and their cooldown is 1.5, right? Now that's just regular plume. They have this little weird thing called plume gather. I'll get into that a little bit later, but let's go ahead and get through with, you know, the passes of this plume skill, right? So she has a passive also called bursting flame. With bursting flame, whenever you pass through a plume with her alt, which is Eruption Weave, we'll go into that, you know, a little bit later, it's going to deal an additional 180% damage depending on how many plumes you got, which is her plume pattern gathering skill. I'm getting to that a little bit later. And then she has another passive called Erosion. So whenever someone is, you know, near the plume that's an enemy, you know, you're going to be able to do 10% more flame damage to it. Not only that, your charge attacks will do 12% more damage. Now, what exactly is plume gathering? So plume gathering is going to be 1 plume plus the present plumes that you have, right? 1 plus 2, which equals 3. Very simple math. Not only that, you don't have a charge attack when in combo except for your Phoenix. So when you're outside of combat, you're able to place down your charge attack, and this allows you to place a singular plume, and that is it. That is all. So yeah, you have that, which is pretty mid unless for transportation. If you're trying to use it for transportation, which is your, you know, shadow feather, you're able to teleport to it using your alt, but it goes on a 6-second cooldown. You're able to place this plume on the ground or in the air, and you teleport to it. And if you do it in the air, you can go into your gliding animation. Well, if you just jump, you know, normally and press forward, you'll also go into a gliding animation. This is not nothing special. It does take you quite a distance, similar to the jetpack, but if you stay in it for too long, it starts to descend you rapidly, unlike the jetpack. So the jetpack is still a lot better, but you do have that gliding option to look fancy and cool and travel short distances if you wish. So that's pretty cool. And then not only that, with that, it has 15 seconds to exist in combat with these you know, plumes that you're placing to travel to. So that is the plumes passive. Hopefully I was able to break that down more easily for you guys. If not, I will definitely have all that stuff on the screen to show you what it looks like, and it will, you know, have it there for you to read, of course. So that's pretty cool. Next thing I need to talk about is her skill, also her alt, which is I activated by pressing 1 on my keyboard, which is called Eruption Weave. Hopefully I said that right. If not, let's go ahead and get into what it does. The movement speed is going to reduce, you know, nearby enemies by 50%. Not only that, you're going to be immune to damage during this skill. So there's an iframe. Hopefully they translate that right. And then not only that, it has a 12-second cooldown. So using your alt will give you a 12-second cooldown. Not only that, whenever it passes through a plume, you know, you already got Eruption Weave triggering, you know, burns or whatever, you know, that 180 I talked about earlier. It's also going to do 333.3% of attack each time you pass by one of these plumes. You get a maximum of 3 plumes. That's almost 1,000 free damage, plus the 180 times 3 damage that you're going to be getting for, you know, passing through them also. So pretty cool. Not only that, your plumes are going to spin for 5 seconds. Now, let's go ahead and get to the next thing. And, you know, your plumes spinning or whatever, they do damage over time. So, you know, keep that in mind. They don't do a lot of damage, but they do apply burns, and they do quite a bit of damage just, you know, for the sake of being there. And whenever they disappear, they're gonna do quite a bit of damage. Not a ton of damage, but they do quite a bit of damage. Now, she has this very cool thing after ulting, which is called the Lingguang Realm. Hopefully I said that right, but that's basically after using her ult. It's a passive that she unlocks, and it gets this like little red shield that'll also be on the screen for you guys to see. And basically, with that being said, it's going to return you to your original position after you ult. Then it's going to give you 60% damage reduction. Cool. So now you're going to take 60% less damage. It's going to give you hyper body, which is also known as super armor, for 8 seconds, meaning that say if someone wanted to, you know, slap you, you just walk through it now. You get blasted with a bazooka, you walk through it. Grenades, they don't affect you, they fall off of you because you have super armor. What a beautiful thing. Not only that, like I said, enemies nearby is going to have their movement speed decreased by 50%. Not only that, your movement speed is also going to be increased for 30%. Now, I don't know exactly how long, it doesn't tell me, but that's what I do know, that it's going to increase your movement speed. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to assume every single thing that they're talking about here is going to be for 8 seconds. And then for the last thing, I said 50%, right? For whenever one turret enters the Lingguang Realm. So when you enter it, it's going to does 50% of attack damage to targets nearby every second. Pretty cool. The next thing that I need to talk about is her passive for playing tank. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about the discharge skill. For the discharge skill, Magnificent Phoenix Breath is going to do 1,180% of your attack. That's a lot of damage. You're going to gain a 2.6 invincibility iframe. Pretty cool. And not only that, your flame damage is going to increase depending on how many plumes that you have present on the field by 3%. So if you have 3 times 3, that's going to give you a maximum of 9% for 20 seconds. And you know, whenever you do the discharge skill again, it'll refresh, of course. Now, she has a special passive for people, you know, who wants to play Huma in, you know, lane, right? Pretty cool. So, with this passive for playing tank, whether it's Huma or not, I will recommend Huma, right? She's going to be able to taunt for 2.5 seconds, right? Whenever using her weapon skill, which is her Eruption Weave. Not only that, with this Eruption Weave is going to expand her Lingguang Realm, right? It's going to make it larger. Now, instead of you just getting super armor, your teammates get super armor. And on top of that, they're also going to get a 40% reduction damage. I don't know if this stacks on top of the 60% that you are already getting, but they will get 40% damage reduction. But if it does stack, that means 100% damage reduction, which is pretty cool. And that's a lot of damage reduction for a tank, a lot. And not only that, her Heart Melter is going to restore this realm constantly. So this is what you can do with lane if you decide to, you know, play the tank version. This is pretty cool, pretty cool in my opinion. Compare her with Huma, right? Huma does her ults or whatever. She applies her buffs or debuffs or whatever you want to call them or whatnot. Then she jumps into the air, you know, after, you know, activating her skill. And she's going to have for 8 seconds or whatever. She's going to just jump in the air. She's going to use her Heart Melter. This is something you just hold in the air. You're going to get super armor during that whole time. You're going to be able to taunt. Not only taunt, you're going to be reducing damage. You'll be giving super armor to the rest of your teammates. And not only that, you're going to be giving damage reduction to everyone. You just sit in the air. You just hold it. You just sit there. It's pretty cool. So that's pretty cool. So now I have another page, which I'm going to go through some synergies. I'm not going to make a long video about this. I'll probably have to make another video about this after I make another guide for this other character. But she has some really good synergy with Annabelle. Annabelle is a unit that just came to global. I pulled for her. I got an A3, one of my favorite units in the game. Still to this day, so I haven't lost hope. Surprisingly, both these characters have birthdays around my time, but we're not going to talk about that. Annabelle has a scope shot, which has patches or whatever. We all know about this. You know, whenever she hits burn targets, she's going to be able to get 300% weapon charges. It has a CD of 15 seconds. Whenever she hits crit shot, So I don't have a lot of crit because I'm not super, well actually I have a decent amount of crit except for on my headband piece. But for people who don't have a lot of crit, you know, you won't be able to hit the crit hits that much. So you're gonna rely on hitting burns, which luckily for you, Annabelle do a lot of burns. Not only does Annabelle do a lot of burns, lanes, you know, Plumes, they apply a ton of burn anyways. So you're going to be able to activate this burn and keep up your weapon charge. You're going to be able to charge your weapons a lot faster by using Lane and Annabelle. Not only that, Annabelle has a thing that when she shoots her slow shot, it's going to increase her movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Lane also has a movement speed skill, so you can now stack it, and now you'll be able to have longer movement speed and faster movement speed. Much else synergy besides the fact that her A1, which is something that I'm not 100% sure about because nobody really knows, but her A1 is supposed to have a ton of synergy with Annabelle because it talks about ammo consumption. Now Annabelle has a skill when she presses her alt or whatever, it goes into, you know, scope or whatever. She gets 8 ammo, which is her magazine or whatever. You reload it or whatever, but basically she gets these 8 shots and you're going to use these 8 shots by pressing your dodge attack. And basically what it's saying is when you have, you know, Lane's weapon equipped, ammo consumption and damage and charge and shatter up other weapons are multiplied by Plumes gathering, so 3. So ammo consumption, right? If it's talking about her magazine, she gets 24 now, which is a ton for no reason. Her damage is going to be increased by 3. Not only that, her charge is going to be 3 times faster, and her shatter is going to be, you know, 3 times more. It's multiplying directly by Plumes gathering amount, right? So that is a huge buff to Annabelle, a huge buff. Not only that, when you're going to be, you know, near the plume or whatever, bursting flame is going to do 30% of the damage from, you know, detonation or whatever. So, and it's also going to do it to the highest amount of target. So yeah, her A1 is really good for Annabelle, really good. It's directly there for Annabelle. Now this works with Ruby or whatever, but the character that's going to get like the highest benefit off of this is going to be Annabelle. And not only that, their playstyle works really well. So that's one thing. Another character that works really good with Lane, which is the second on my list, is Ruby. Now what Ruby's going to do is you're going to place her on top of the field. She's going to do these auto attacks plus the Sparky when she summons it or whatever. Sparky plus these auto attacks. She's going to, you know, go for that initial 8. She's going to need that flame buff, and now that flame buff stays on for a little bit. And basically what's going to happen now is you switch off of Ruby, unfortunately, and you have that buff, and now you rotate between Annabelle and Lane. So Ruby's going to turn into the support character in this comp. The comp I would recommend running is Ruby, Lane, and Annabelle. That's the comp I would recommend running, and I will recommend having Lane at least A1 if you're just trying to use her as a attack unit in this comp or whatever. The third unit I have on here is Lin. Unfortunately, Lin. I don't like Lin. Me personally, Lin does have that little buffing global where if you're using flame, it's going to increase burns by, you know, 4 seconds, and then it's going to increase flame damage for shielded targets, which is weird to me. But you know, that's what Lane does for flame. If you guys want to use Lane or whatever, that's cool or whatever. Me personally, I will recommend my best team, my favorite team will be Ruby, Lane, and Annabelle. Who works better? Annabelle and Lane. Between Ruby and Lane, Annabelle works a lot better with Lane than Ruby because of the fact that some of the things that Lane has on her kit is directly buffing Annabelle, unfortunately. Like these buffs that's happening right here, like yes, it can buff you know, other weapons or whatever, but the ammo consumption thing is really pointing towards Annabelle, and that's pretty much her whole entire kit. So yeah, there you have it. I'll do a video further comparing if you guys want to. But that is the end for this video. If you guys did like this video, do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I put a lot of hard work in this video, but I'll see you guys next one. Peace.